The story of David and Goliath, a part of our mythic understanding, right, of underdogs and courage. And certainly the authors of the Samuel narrative this morning want to make sure that we know how unlikely a leader and at the same time how talented David was as a part of the origin story of Israel's mighty king. Maybe it sounds a little bit like the Paul Bunyan experience or something related to Superman, where you're trying to get a backstory, seemingly just a young, simple shepherd boy, but he could make everybody swoon with his music. That's just before the passage we have. No need of the heavy armor we hear. He was able to fell a giant with just one smooth stone. But perhaps this week our hearts are weary of the war that justifies the death of Goliath, that presents the opportunity for violence, the Philistines and people of Judah and Israel in ongoing, seemingly endless conflict year after year. King Saul has been constantly navigating battle, no doubt infighting in his own ranks and enemies from without. And for 40 days, as we managed that stomping, that same big soldier has come out to taunt King Saul's men. So what impresses us through David's story is not what a fantastic soldier he was. By the way, the death of Goliath is attributed to someone else later in the text. But how important it is for us to believe that an unlikely character can make a difference, so that we too might pluck up with courage something impossible stomping around by an impossible something or someone. That when we have the tools that we need at our disposal, whatever we can get our hands and hearts on, we have a chance to fell the giant in our own lives. We are likely feeling, in some circumstances, outmatched. Please take a few moments as we consider Jerry the Goliath standing next to Jay the David. Where in your own spirit are you feeling outmatched today? Who and what are the giants in your life? What do we do about the giant, right? Thinking about the stomping, the endless stomping that's coming, how is it that we prepare our inner lives for an ability to ongoingly meet that which feels so outsized and we who feel so outmatched? Throughout the text, thank you, friends who had the microphone. Throughout the text, David calls upon God. And we think about what is it from our own faith that we need to sustain us in facing our giants. I think like the Israelites looked to David, we look to those who bring us hope. And we often turn to the example of Jesus and his nonviolent action and activity that questioned the powerful and met the oppressed with love. In our landscapes, we look for people taking on courageous acts, as we know that David did in a moment of ongoing fear. I want to share with you the name of someone who out there is in need of our prayers. Her name is Vivian Silver. It's been quite a week, as you know, if you're like Mary and follow the news, or if you're working and tending alongside neighbors who have particular interest or connection to Israel. I received an email from a very good friend living in DC. She was writing to request prayers for her coworker's mentor. The mentor's name is Vivian Silver. She provided a link to Vivian's work, a Canadian-born activist who for over 50 years has worked for peace. She helped to found the Arab-Jewish Center for Equality, Economic Empowerment and Cooperation, and was awarded the Victor J. Goldberg Prize for Peace in the Middle East in 2010. I venture to say that Vivian's giant has been war itself. And for her, the weapon against it, her smooth stone, has been her voice. She is co-founder of Women Wage Peace, a broad politically unaffiliated movement which acts to prevent war and promote a nonviolent and mutually acceptable solution to Israeli and Palestinian conflict with active participation of women in all negotiation. When she wasn't marching or living in her kibbutz, she is known for doing things like driving Palestinian women, those with cancer, once they have safely crossed the Israeli border, to find vital doctor appointments. On October 4th, 11 days ago, small in stature, Vivian Silver marched in Jerusalem with thousands of Palestinian and Israeli women. The march was called the Mother's Call as a rally for female activists creating a peaceful future for Israel and Palestine. This was just 3 days before her disappearance from her kibbutz outside of Gaza, which was stormed and burned. Since the moments when militants entered her house, there has been no word from her. She had up to that time been texting with her sons. Now, I've watched some of the news clips, maybe you've seen them on TV. Her sons do not know whether she lives or is kept hostage or died at this time. They later found that her house had been burned and there was no sign of her. I'd like in this moment that we try to take in the gravity of this situation, take in a moment the reality of a courageous life for 50 years that has been working for peace, and take a moment for all those who are missing, have been presumed to potentially have been killed, or at this time need desperately our prayers as they are homeless or hungry and uncertain. Let us take a moment. O Holy One, in these moments we lift up the work of Vivian Silver, for the Goliath itself in her own journey, which has been war. We ask that wherever she is, and for all of those who similarly are in a space of uncertainty and limbo, continue, O God, the dream alive of your peace to be upon them, and that love would surround them. Those who in this deepest and darkest of moments have an opportunity, as David did, to call upon God, a God who is with victors and with vanquished, a God who does not discriminate, a God who is with the women. We imagine a God with Goliath's mother somewhere in a little village, how a big breakfast she would have to prepare for her large family. We imagine, too, David's mother, the wife of Jesse, who prayed probably every day for her soldier sons and their safe return after they'd been conscripted to King Saul. We recognize the legacy of Vivian that can help point us forward into the challenging spaces that we face, so that her story is one of David in an unmatched contest, continually, courageously, waging not war, but peace. And in the face of death or captivity, we learn from her persistence, the insistence of peace. That is what her son, Jonathan, has been sharing with other people, including the press. The vision of a woman who, even when the unthinkable has happened, would insist that peace be attainable. As hope in thinking about peace that might yet be prevailing. As I prepare friends to go over to the Pride Festival this afternoon, I see a triumph of spirit. I see those who time and time again in their lives have heard the stomp of the giants of our society and others who would tell them that they were not good enough or they should look or believe a particular way. I give thanks for our ongoing solidarity alongside the LGBTQIA community and the ways that we continue to show up in love. I went over there early this morning. I sure want to give a shout out to Bill McCarthy, who met me in this parking lot. For not only we were collecting the tent and all the things for our time and our booth over there, but we're lending chairs to the multi-faith experience. This is the first time we're going to try this. Been collaborating with other faith leaders so that we could join our voices in a spirit of unity together, and a circle that will be happening at 3 o'clock. That we would have a time of song and blessing. It will be particularly meaningful that the songs will be led by several rabbis from the area. And we'll have a chance to hear both song and then receive a blessing, and song and receive a blessing as it flows in that way. Give thanks for Bill McCarthy, who toted those chairs so that people have a place to sit. Give thanks that waiting on the other end was Michael Cleveland. A big shout out to Michael Cleveland, who is currently babysitting our booth, waiting for the flood of people that by 11 o'clock will start to come and receive in their hands a homemade heart made by Michael and others within our community, knit hearts and wooden hearts, a diversity of hearts so that people know that our hearts are big and available and prolific. We give thanks for each and every one who would stop by that booth today and get a sense that whatever the giants that are surrounding them, that in that space there is one of love, and that we can equip not with the weaponry of evil or hatred, but the ongoing reality that our voices, our bodies, and our ability to show up, to march, to be present, to show our love is a way of witnessing into the David place of courage, into the place of Vivian Silver, who time and time again has shown up on a front line, envisioning something that we cannot all yet see. And isn't that what we hear ongoingly in the Bible? A vision of what we cannot yet see. The vision of the peaceable kingdom on the hill with fig trees. The vision of Jesus's word made flesh. The vision that we are a part of, we who are the church. So friends, let's keep showing up. Let's lift up people on this day, courageous voices like those of Alvin Ailey and Bayard Rustin, of Pauline Murray and James Baldwin, of Marcia P. Johnson, of Simon and Coley, of Sylvia Rivera. Who are the names, friends, that you would populate into this space, the courageous ones that continue to point your way forward? Feel free to call them out now, out loud in your voice or upon your hearts. As we lift up each and every one of these names to you, O God, perhaps we extend our hands now. We hold out our hands and we remember the stone at David's disposal. Consider, friends, the creative means by which we are called to engage with the hard things on our journey, oftentimes laying down our stones and the harsh words we might offer in favor of your love and your peace, that it might prevail from generation to generation. We thank you especially for the women today, the women who are called to wage peace, that we might be among them and join hand in hand with the mothers who, generation into generation, would carve out a meaning and a way. Let thy peace be done, O God. Amen.